Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, Simply Maggie, where I teach you all things arm knitting and yarn related and some other DIY stuff here and there. Today I am bringing you a kind of a remake of my original 45-minute arm knit blanket. Let's be honest, my previous video that I made, 6 years ago now, it wasn't the best quality and it was a little long, so I wanted to remake it for you guys and also share my biggest or most requested tips and tricks. That's it. We're going to go ahead and get right into the tutorial. So what we're going to be using today is 8 skeins of the Premier Yarns Couture Jazz yarn, and this is in the color Mushroom. It's a number 7 jumbo yarn, so you can use any jumbo size yarn. So I'll have this one linked down below. So the first thing you want to do is remove all of the wrappers from the skeins. I'm just going to go ahead and pull from the outside of the skein rather than the center. And then you'll also need a pair of scissors for cutting the excess yarn on the knots where you attach each skein. Now what you're going to do is get a 6-foot tail. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's about 6 feet, and that's going to be used for the long tail cast on. So the next thing you're going to do is make a slip knot. So we're going to drape the yarn over our hand, insert all your fingers and pinch the 2 sides together. You're going to twist that away from you, and then you're going to grab the working yarn, which is the yarn that is attached to the skein, and then the other end is the tail. So pinch those together, twist your hand away from you, grab the working yarn, and then pull that up there through that loop, and then put that slip knot right on your arm. Tighten it up a little bit. The next thing you're going to do is cast on your stitches, and we're going to use a total of 18 stitches. So to do the long tail cast on, place both of these strands, the working yarn and the tail, underneath your ring finger and your pinky. And then you're going to take your index finger and your thumb and put them right in between those 2 strands. And then you're going to turn your hand towards you, so the palm of your hand is facing you. And then you're going to take your index finger on your right hand. You're going to go under this strand, over this one, and then pick up this one to create your new stitch. So I'll show you how to do that. Under, over, pick up that strand in the back, and now this is your new stitch. You're going to place that right on your arm. And I'll show you how to do that again. Put both the tail, which is closer to me, and the working yarn, which is further away from me, which is important, and I'll tell you why. Take them and put them both under your ring finger and your pinky, and then go ahead and insert your index finger and your thumb in between. Okay, and then spread them apart a little bit, and then turn your palm of your hand towards you. Take your index finger on your other hand. You're going to go under, over, and pick up this one. So under, over, and pick up that strand in the back, creating your new stitch here, and then you're going to place that right onto your arm. Okay, so we now have 3 stitches. The slip knot counted as your first stitch, and then you just made 2 stitches with the long tail cast on. And now I'll explain why it's important to have the tail closer to you. So you want to have the tail closer to you because you want that one to be the one that's wrapping around your thumb. If the tail isn't wrapping around your thumb, you're going to run out of tail too quickly. You won't have enough to cast on all of your stitches. Hope that makes sense. So now we're going to continue casting on our stitches. I'm going to do a total of 18 stitches. So put your yarn in place, pick up a new stitch, and put that right on your arm. That's 4. Okay, so now that you have all 18 stitches on your arm, you're going to begin arm knitting your rows. To knit your first row, you're going to hold the working yarn in your right hand, and then take that first stitch and pull it over and off of your hand while still holding the working yarn, and this creates your new stitch. So then you're going to go ahead and place that onto your right arm and then tighten up as much as you can. And then you're going to knit your second stitch. So hold the working yarn in your right hand, pull that next stitch over and off of your hand while still holding the working yarn. And this creates your new stitch, and you just put that right onto your other arm. And tighten up as much as you can. You want to keep your stitches as tight as possible to keep them looking nice and not too big and loose. And then we're going to knit another stitch, so just hold the working yarn in your right hand again. Pull that next stitch over and off, creating a new stitch, and then you put that onto your left arm and tighten up. And make sure you're not twisting your stitches as you're putting them onto your other arm. Then hold the working yarn in your right hand again. Take that next stitch, pull it over and off, creating a new stitch, and then place it on your other arm. And you're going to continue doing that along the entire row until all of the stitches have moved from this arm over to this arm. When I'm done with this row, I will come back and show you how to knit your second row. Okay, so we have completed row 1, and now we're going to move on to row 2. So to knit row 2, you're going to want to hold the working yarn in your left hand this time. Take that first stitch, pull it over and off while holding the working yarn, and then this creates your new stitch that you're going to place onto your right arm. And then again, tighten as much as you can. And then to knit your second stitch, you hold the working yarn in your left hand. Take that next stitch and pull it over and off while holding the working yarn. And this creates your new stitch that you place onto your other arm. Tighten up. And then again, hold the working yarn in your left hand. Pull that next stitch over and off, creating a new stitch. And then go ahead and place that onto your other arm and tighten as much as you can. And then you're just going to continue doing that along the entire row. Once you've completed row 2, you are just going to repeat what I showed you until you have arm knit all of your rows of your blanket. So now that I have completed row 2, I'm going to go ahead and knit all of my rows, and then when I come back, I will show you how to end your blanket. So what I do to attach my next skein is just tie a double knot as tight as I can. Pull it as tight as you can, both ways. And then take your scissors and trim the excess kind of to the shape of the knot. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you attach the next skein. And I'm going to continue knitting my blanket. I have finished knitting all of my rows, and now I'm going to show you how to end your blanket, which is how to bind off. I ended up knitting a total of 34 rows, but that may vary depending on the size of your stitches when you're knitting your blanket. So you could get less, you could get more. So to bind off, you want to knit 2 stitches, 1 and 2. And when you're binding off, you don't want to tighten your stitches too much because then you'd have one skinnier end of your blanket. So just tighten them a little bit. And now you're going to knit 1 more. And then take that first stitch on your arm, pull it over the second one, and bind off that stitch. Tighten just a little bit. Knit 1 more. Bind 1 off. Knit 1 more. Bind 1 off. Tighten just a little bit, and then you're going to continue doing that along the entire row until you have 1 stitch left on your left arm. Okay, I am binding off my last stitch, and then we're going to go ahead and take our scissors and cut about 1 foot away from the blanket. And then you can go ahead and pull that halfway through and then all the way through. And this will create a nice knot, the edge of your blanket. And then what you're going to do is just pull on all of your stitches to stretch them. That way they're not all bunched up. Oops, just caught one there with my toe. And then you're going to get to your cast on edge and you want to just pull on that from side to side. That way it is the right width. And your last step is to weave in your cast on tail and your bind off tail. So go ahead and weave that in. I'm going to go through here. And then I'm just going to go down here, pull it halfway through, pull it halfway through again, and then pull it all the way through to create a tight knot. And then you can go ahead and trim that up. And we're going to go back to our bind off edge here. And we're going to bring this strand to the front, put it right down through this hole here. Okay. And then I'm going to go under this one, and the same thing as your other end, bring it halfway through again, and then all the way through and pull it as tight as you can to create a nice secure knot. So that is it, you guys. It's so easy, and once you get the hang of it, you really can make these blankets so quickly. I have it down to about 20 to 25 minutes to complete an entire blanket. Alright guys, so I really hope you enjoyed the new tutorial. Even though I know it was a remake of one of my older patterns and projects, I just wanted to bring it to you again in, the best way that I could. So I really hope you enjoyed it. If you are new here and you made it all the way to the end, please subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. And please leave a request of what other type of DIY projects you would like me to share with you, and I will do my best to get them to you. So anyway, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.